Hello, I'm Nelson Pereira from bnetTV. Welcome to the Mobile World Congress 2013 in Barcelona. And with us is Christian Gunning from Boingo. How you doing? I actually know that name, by the way, because I see you guys every day, and I'm always surprising. I'm like, I need to get an account with you guys, because not only do you exist in the subway system in New York City, but also in the airport. I mean, you guys are pretty much spread out.
Yeah, we've become, over the last 12 years, we've become a global Wi-Fi provider, truly. In addition to the roaming agreements that we've always had in place, and there's 150 of them in more than 103 countries with 600,000 hotspots available, we also got into the space of actually installing and maintaining networks. And so today we run the networks in 65 airports around the world, so everywhere from Beijing to London and Portugal and Italy, and then in New York City, all three of the airports in O'Hare. And so we have a global presence in terms of airports and being able to provide service directly to customers.
Let's take the fact that, I mean, your company name is a household name in this industry, and you can't miss it, because every time you turn your Wi-Fi chip on, you see your name being advertised for connectivity. But for our first-time viewers who don't have this infrastructure in the airport or their metro system, what is the role of your company, and how does it fit in this wireless and provider market?
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is that the Boingo name only shows up in about 400 hotspots, where we offer 600,000 to our customers. And so the thing that most people miss is our roaming agreements. So here in Spain, Kubi is one of the biggest wireless networks, and we have a partnership with them. So if you bring your Boingo account to Spain, you can log into all the Kubi hotspots as a provider. The advantage that gives us is it doesn't matter where you go in the world, you can actually log in with a Boingo account regardless of who the local provider is, because we have these roaming agreements. On the business side, we take that for a number of companies and white label that and repackage it and sell it back to other carriers who want a global Wi-Fi solution but don't want to have to go out and do all the roaming agreements that we put into place and all the back-end integration. So we can kind of package that and white label it and give it to companies like KT and LGU Plus and NTT Docomo and Skype, who use our Wi-Fi as their Skype, the Skype Wi-Fi product behind it. So, you know, the advantage that we bring and the pieces that we bring is a turnkey Wi-Fi package that's available to other operators. And you know, here at Mobile World Congress, because it's such a cellular show, it's interesting because we've attended in the past to do meetings, but this is the first time that Wi-Fi's really had a physical presence within the show. The Wireless Broadband Alliance, which is the kind of the global association of Wi-Fi network operators, has a Wi-Fi pavilion, and there are a bunch of our partners who are exhibiting there. And the conversation really centers around what's called next generation hotspot, and it's the idea of a seamless handoff from your smartphone onto the Wi-Fi networks that are available, much in the way that you get off of a plane and you turn on your phone and it finds the local cell tower, and even if it's not your cell phone provider, you get onto that network and you start roaming. And so both the GSMA and the WBA and the WFA, the Wi-Fi Alliance, have been working over the last couple of years to establish standards to create the same type of a seamless roaming experience on your handset using Wi-Fi as you travel around the world.
The advantage behind that is not only just in the provider, but it's pretty much on the users those providers are servicing, that not only helps them save money, but at the end of the day, the user that's saving money, the provider doesn't have to deal with charging so much money to the end users that they have right now, because we have to face the fact, if a provider is charging too much money to any end user out there, and they don't have services for them that they can go to other countries or other cities and help them save money, then they become loyal customers to those providers. And your company is servicing that part of the industry.
Absolutely. I think a lot of times what people forget from an end user perspective, our perspective is we don't want the bill shock. When we get on a plane and go out of the country, we turn off the data. We switch off the cellular side and scratch for Wi-Fi or buy a SIM card, and we're effectively lost revenue for our carrier. And so when you start getting to seamless global Wi-Fi roaming, you're actually creating a revenue opportunity for the carrier to continue providing that data access for customers as they travel abroad, but still doing it in a much more cost-effective way than international mobile data roaming.
Do you see that growing beyond just airport? I mean, it has to go pretty much the endless amount of applications you can go, and that kind of idea and philosophy is only exponential to where your company can take it.
Yeah, and in Europe and in Asia, the hotspot density is a lot thicker than it is in the US. So there's a significant growth opportunity in the US to put Wi-Fi into a lot more places. The two biggest issues that carriers are mentioning to us, the cell guys are mentioning to us for wanting to do offload, is congestion mitigation. So there are a lot of towers that end up getting full during the day and performance is bad. And so the ability within a radius of that tower to take anyone who's in a hotspot and move them onto the hotspot for their data use, then frees up that tower to make sure that it's available for voice and that it's available for people who are truly using the mobility aspect of the tower. And the second one is data roaming fees. And it's both on an international basis to help avoid sticker shock, but it's also on an operational basis for carriers. If you're a smaller carrier with a smaller spectrum band, when people travel outside your area and you're doing data roaming on partner networks, it's not inexpensive to do that domestically within partners as well. And so the ability to look for Wi-Fi and to move customers off of that creates a great opportunity for them as well. So there are a lot of places over the next few years that are going to get built out with Wi-Fi that may not have it today. If you look at the United States market, Wi-Fi in national restaurant chains is very limited today. You see it in the Starbucks, you see it in McDonald's. We have the contract for Wendy's restaurants. But beyond that, it's largely greenfield. And it's the type of place where there are so many of those locations that they're within proximity of some of the congestion towers. And so as people sit down to have lunch and pull out their smartphone, the ability to migrate them off to a local network to preserve the macro network is a tremendous opportunity.
And one of the questions I have to ask you is, does that apply also for those users who have a cap on their data limitations?
Yeah, it's one of the advantages with a lot of the carriers moving to tiered pricing plans, is you can use Wi-Fi, and you can still, even with the seamless offload, you can choose to use Wi-Fi on your own. And the credentials would exist to move you over without you having to jump through a bunch of hoops, but the ability for you to try to choose to move there to maximize your data plan for the month.
I have to say that not only is it important for providers to make money and be able to profit on it, but to have the ability to maintain clientele and bring new ones with partnership with Boingo, will not only bring a benefit to themselves, but they will increase their entire clientele. At the end of the day, is that what clients you have currently right now. The question is how many new clients you can bring in with better services. And partnership, especially with providers, will make that happen, especially a company such as you are helping them bring that partnership into place.
Absolutely. Anytime you're looking at a subscription model like a cell phone service, churn is one of your biggest concerns. It's much cheaper to keep an existing customer than to have to go out and acquire a new one. And so the ability to leverage things like Wi-Fi to make sure that the user experience is optimal wherever they go, and it doesn't matter whether they're on the mobility or the Wi-Fi, but to improve the overall user experience for everyone, then is really a contributor to decreasing churn and keeping a satisfied customer base.
Now I'm seeing providers actually offering clients, "Hey, listen, you get this smartphone, we'll give you X amount of storage on the cloud, and by the way, we'll join you in connectivity with Boingo or something that when you go to the airport, you're still holding." If I got that kind of service, I'll be like, what would I give out my provider? He's taking care of me from point 1 to point Z at the end of the day, and I know if I go to any airport or any location, my provider is actually offering the services that I need at the time.
Yeah, and the good news is, in addition to Wi-Fi, there's also small cell deploy coming. So it's not just the big network, it's small cellular networks. We also do DAS, so we do the in-building cellular networks for things like airports and convention centers, some shopping malls. And the advantage is going in, you can actually maintain both networks and optimize the experience in those, again, contributing to mitigating congestion on the macro networks. So large facilities that really have high concentrations of users become a tremendous opportunity for installing both small cell and Wi-Fi on the overlays, and you can capitalize on voice and data simultaneously and be able to generate kind of some passive revenue for the venue owner.
Well, Christian, I can spend the whole day talking to you. There's so much to talk about your company. And once more, I do thank you for spending time with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And this was Christian Gunning from Boingo. And as always, this is Nelson Pereira from bnetTV at the Barcelona MWC 2013.